Hey, for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Joe Cocklereece, and I'm a youth leader at New Horizon. Welcome to Wisdom Wednesday 2.0. So when Dusty first asked me to do this, my reaction was a lot like what Becca was saying, like, how could I get out of this? Maybe I'd tell him, like, maybe next week, maybe another time. Right now is not a good time for me to do it, but as I thought more, I really felt led to do it, and I felt like the Lord had given me something to say. So I figured what better to talk about than plagues, right? Sorry to some of the youth guys. You may have heard this a little bit of this already in a youth group text, but it's good for you to hear it a second time. Seems fitting to talk about plagues, right? I'm sure most of you are familiar with the plagues in Egypt and the hardening of Pharaoh's heart. For those of you that aren't, I'll be bouncing around the first few chapters of Exodus, so just stick with me. Chapter 5. Afterward, Moses and Aaron went in and told Pharaoh, "Thus says the Lord God of Israel, let my people go, that they may hold a feast to me in the wilderness." And Pharaoh said, "Who is the Lord that I should obey his voice and let Israel go? I do not know the Lord, nor will I let Israel go." So, to open up this story, we are met with the Pharaoh of Egypt exclaiming, "Who is the Lord?" To make a long story short, the plagues are an increasing display of God showing Pharaoh that he is the King of Kings. He is essentially displaying his power to Egypt. Now, I'm not going to lie. When I first heard this story, my first thought was, really? Like, God, the creator of the universe, Yahweh, is displaying his power through snakes, lice, turning water to blood, grasshoppers. Those don't seem like the all-powerful God's plagues. When I think of plagues of God, I think of huge displays of powerful, and those didn't seem that powerful to me when I first heard this. And after hearing some sermons on this subject and doing some research for myself, I found out that there is a very specific and strategic meaning behind each plague. Since I only have a nugget of your time, I'll only focus on one of the plagues though, okay? Exodus chapter 8. Is the second plague, and it is the plague of frogs. In verses 2 through 7, it says, "But if you refuse to let them go, behold, I will smite all your territory with frogs. So the rivers shall bring forth frogs abundantly, which shall go up and come into your land, into your bedroom, on your bed, into your houses of your servants, on your people, and into your kneading bowls. And the frogs shall come upon you, on your people, and on all of your servants." Then the Lord spoke to Moses, "Say to Aaron, stretch out your hand with your rod over the streams, over the rivers, and over the ponds, and cause frogs to come up on the land of Egypt." So Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt, and the frogs came up and covered the land of Egypt. And the magicians did so with their enchantments, and brought up frogs on the land of Egypt as well. So, again, I read this and thought, what? Like, wow, the Egyptians are neck and neck with God at this point. They seem to be tied up. It's like God does something, and the Egyptians are just like, all right, that's cool. We can do that too. And it almost seemed discouraging to me when I first heard it. They were able to turn the Nile water to blood, and they were also able to produce frogs. But notice what they could not do. They couldn't get rid of the frogs. They thought they were displaying their own power by producing more frogs, but they were only aiding in their own plague. They couldn't get rid of the frogs. And if we read on, it says they put the frogs in piles and the land stank. The theme of all these plagues seems to be they only end when God is asked to end them. This kept the people from thinking that they were getting rid of the plagues with their own power, but rather through the Lord. This really got me thinking about all the times in my life where I feel plagued in a sense. And maybe some of you feel plagued right now. I'm sure a lot do with everything going on. And God is watching over us saying, hey, whenever you want those frogs gone, just let me know. Y'all are piling these things up and throwing them around, and it's making your land stink. And so many times I toil and I work really hard and I really just try and do my best to get things accomplished, but in the end, I accomplish things all on my own in a sense, but I'm simply conjuring up more and more frogs in a pandemic of frogs. How many of us rely on our own strength and abilities to get places and wind up making matters worse? We have a Father who loves us and longs for us to look to Him for our comfort, security, provision, and with everything going on in the world today, I want to challenge all of you to reflect on the fact that God is in control and that our strength is found in Him, not in our own works. I want to end by reading a sentence from the youth leader's devotional this morning. I thought it was really good, and it ties in with what we're talking about. It says, "There is no good deed that can get God to love you more than He already does, and there is no sin that will keep or stop God from loving you." I thought that was great, and I think we could all hold tight to that truth in difficult times, and especially in these difficult times. Love y'all. Stay safe.